Hey, what's going on, y'all? I'm gonna show you how to make a Metro Boomin type beat. First, I'll let you hear the beat. So to start, I'm just going to break down the piano. I'm using the Grandeur piano from Contact, and all I'm doing is playing a D minor chord into a D sus2. Next, I add a little top line, which is in D minor, and it sounds like this. I have the pianos routed to different tracks because on the high piano, I have it with the Dirt Echo preset from Effect Rack to give it a lot more delay. And then for the other one, I do have the Dirt Echo, but I have it turned down a lot more. And I also have a wow control to make it feel a lot more saturated than the higher piano. Next, I'm using the Vocalize bank, which is in Contact, and all it is playing phrases that are in D minor. And then as I do with a lot of my beats, I'm adding my own vocals, and I'm trying to sound like a bit of a child choir for this. So to get that effect, all I'm doing is going into a little alter boy, and I'm messing around with the pitch, but I'm just doing the formant. And then I have the radio preset from Fruity Parametric EQ2. Then I have a bunch of reverb, of course, bringing up the low cut knob, and then another EQ just to get rid of the really low lows and the really high highs. Then I just have a texture and some accents. Then I play a guitar out, which is inspired a lot by No More, which is one of his older songs with Metro Boomin and Kodak Black. And all I'm doing is playing the same D minor chord and D minor sus chord. For the effects, I wanted it to sound distorted, so I'm using the Effect Rack Devil Lock. And then I also have an auto pan to make it feel a little less static and move it from left to right. Then I'm using an EQ to cut out the lows and the really high highs. Then I'm using another Effect Rack, but this time with Decapitator, and this just gives it even more distortion. And then, of course, I finish it off with my reverb, pulling up the low cut, and I also have a bunch of delay. And this is what it all sounds like together. Then I export it, and now let's get into another project. So now we're in the new project, and all I'm doing in here is adding drums. So first I started off by adding a little bit of bass for the intro. Then I always add my claps, my snares, and my hi-hats to make sure I get a good bounce going. So for the clap, I'm just hitting it on the 2 and the 4, and then I also am pitching it down to give it a little more bounce. And I'm also doing the same thing with the snare, but I'm putting it in different pockets. Then I'm adding in an open hat and a hi-hat. For the hi-hats, don't do anything crazy. This isn't one of those Southside beats where you just have hi-hat rolls going up and down everywhere. You're just trying to find really particular pockets that really complement where the kicks and the snares are going to hit. Then I'm also adding a low hat to give it even more bounce. And then it's time for the kick and the 808. Please don't have the kicks hitting every single time you have the 808 hitting, and vice versa. The kick and 808 are kind of working with each other, but sometimes you're going to have just the 808 hitting, sometimes you're just going to have the kick hitting. This is really the key to the Metro Boomin bounce. You know, the snares, hi-hats, all that is nothing crazy, but what you do to get the 808s and the kicks complementing each other is really what's going to make the beat come together. As you can also see here, I'm making sure to cut off the 808 at certain points, you know, just like this little 16th note right before each one, just to give it even more bounce. Just having your 808 play out throughout the whole time, it's not really going to differentiate any of the ones from the other ones, so you want to do this to add just a little bit more bounce. You can also see here I do the 808 reverse trick, and all I'm doing is I'm putting a bunch of little, I think they're 64th notes for the 808s, then I'm just holding down right click and I'm adjusting the velocity so that they zoom up to that one. Then one last thing is the arrangement is super important. For a lot of Metro Boomin beats, you're not going to want the kick to drop right as the rest of the beat does. You really just want to start with the 808s, hi-hats, claps, and snares, and things like that. And then after 4 or 8 bars, you want to drop in the kick to really emphasize that drop. But that's going to be the beat. Here's the whole thing.